Every year, no matter what, we still get inundated with questions about the best way to prepare a holiday roast. I'm going to do a standing rib roast today, but it's going to be a very basic roasting method too, actually, that would apply to beef tenderloin or a sirloin roast. So the process is the same no matter the cut of meat. I have a 4-bone standing rib roast here, and what you want to make sure you're doing anytime you buy a roast is at least keep the sticker or make sure you write down the actual weight of whatever you bought, because it's always going to be based on amount of minutes per pound. So make sure you know exactly how many pounds of meat you're dealing with before you get to cooking. I'm going to season this very, very simply, just with basting oil and salt and pepper. So I give my basting oil a shake, and I'm just going to put a couple of tablespoons over the top here. Just drizzle it on, and then I'm going to brush it on just so I get a nice even coating. And what that's going to do, number one, obviously the basting oil provides good flavor, but it's also going to allow the salt and pepper to stick to the surface, which is what we want. So I'm just going to brush that, get a nice even coat. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and season this very aggressively with salt and pepper. Keep in mind, especially for this is a relatively large piece of meat. So we have a lot of mass that we need to account for seasoning. So I want to season the outside pretty aggressively with salt. And now I've got fresh cracked pepper as well. That's always a matter of taste. I like a fair amount of pepper. I like the outside crust to be really, really peppery, and then by the time you get to the inside of the roast, it sort of goes away a little bit. So you get a nice blend of flavors there. Okay, so 2 different ways. I've already got one going. I had an oven preheated to 275 degrees, and I'm going to go the whole way at a nice, slow, even temperature on the one that's already going. And that takes a little bit longer, 25 to 28 minutes a pound. This one, I'm actually going to do our high-low method, where I'm going to put it in a 450-degree oven for the first 15 minutes. Then I turn the oven down to 350. What that does, that's going to give us a nice crust on the outside. Couple of different cooking techniques. This one's going in at 450. All right, so I've got a couple of roasts here. The one on my left is one that I roasted at 275 degrees the whole way through, and that took about a little more than 25 minutes a pound. And the one on my right is the one where I used our high-low technique, where I started it out in a 450-degree oven for the first 15 minutes, and then I bumped the oven down to 350 to finish the cooking. And this took about 15 minutes a pound. And you can see that this one is considerably darker on the outside, and that's the whole point behind that high-low technique, is you're really going to get a sear and more of a crust. If you have somebody in your family when you're making prime rib that always asks for that end cut, you definitely want to go with our high-low technique, because that's going to give you a little bit more well done on the outside. And when you do the slow method, you're going to see that you get a little more uniform color all the way through. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these right in half and show you the difference, what it looks like on the inside. And I'll start with the slower technique, again, the 275 degrees all the way through. Just go right through with my slicing knife. All right. And I've allowed these to rest. These are large pieces of meat, so I let them rest for at least 20 minutes. We have a nice guide in the magazine where you can see a approximate sort of suggested resting times. And it's important to let it rest, because what you really want to do is you want to allow all those juices to sort of absorb themselves back into the meat, and that way you get a nice, juicy, tender piece of meat every time. And what you can see here is we've got that beautiful sort of medium color all the way through. For me, I like my prime rib to be medium. I don't want it overly rare. I like it, the flavor's better for me at medium, but you can see it's nice and sort of rosy all the way through. And that's the low and slow. You don't have the crust development. And I'll cut this one in half now and show you the difference. Okay, and now you can see here what we've got. And what people like about this, you have more of a crust around here. It's a little darker here. Then it continues to get darker, and then you've just got that nice pink center, whereas here you've got more of a pink going all the way through the piece of meat. So it's really up to you what you want to do. The high-low method's great. You get a nice crust on the outside, and it's a little quicker cooking technique. The slow is probably what you're going to find more of what they do in a prime rib house. So you get that nice color all the way through, and you have less of a well-done end cut. Either way is great. You're going to wind up with a successful, delicious holiday roast no matter what. Try both if you want to, and have a great holiday.